let me ask you this. Do you feel that it's more difficult or that there's more potential for blowback as a black comedian doing content that maybe is critical of the black community or as a progressive that's doing content that's critical of the left? Is there a separation there?
What's more dangerous or what leaves you more open to criticism? I think black on black. I think if you are critical of the left, but still somehow showing support of the left, then you probably still have some degree of an in, or there will still be people that will give you audience or whatever. Whereas if you're being critical of black people, you got to be very careful about that, bro, because people are going to take that and weaponize that who mean far more, who have far more sinister intentions to black people.
Well,
So that's
that's what I
something
was.
you gotta be very careful about that.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't know what people are going to use, and that's why, like, in black circles, there's a saying where some stuff is just family business. Certain things you just don't bring out into the mainstream and have a discussion about because within our community, I think that there are other people that could use those policies and use those conversations to help justify policy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I rewatched Imperfect Messenger recently. And I have to say, I think that's one of the most compassionate and honest and just generally like funniest stand up specials that I've seen in a very long time. Like it's bravo. It's a fantastic stand up
Thank
special.
you.
And, and I would place it in the same category in the same class as a Chris Rock or a Dave Chappelle or a Richard Pryor in terms of presenting a black perspective in a very thought provoking way, But at the same time, I know, on that same topic, both Chappelle and Chris Rock have been really vocal about some of the bits that they've done over the course of their career that they're very uncomfortable with the way that they've been embraced by certain white audiences, whether that's because they're laughing maybe for the wrong reason or because, like you said, they've weaponized that critique and used it to justify or reinforce like existing prejudices that they've already had. I mean, is that something that you think about when you're writing your material?
I think about how can this be misunderstood. That's how I think of most jokes now. And you're not going to be bulletproof on that, but you just have to figure out a way. But it also part of that process is, to me, part of that process is about making sure that you're running these jokes and these perspectives in front of black audiences. You're going to be talking about a group of people, or you're going to be bringing an issue to a group of people, then you need to be talking about that in front of those people. Because the reaction, the visceral reaction from audiences is going to help shape the bit to make it right for television so you can be more precise. So you got to step on landmines a couple of times to get to the right place. There's a bit, it's not even, I won't even do the joke, but within Imperfect Messenger, the part where I talk about prison reform and this idea that we want nonviolent drug offenders to get out early and, oh, it's just weed, you should be free. Okay, cool. But there's also violent offenders who got too much time. And that's not part of the conversation, but to me, it should be. And that's not to belittle the oh, you got caught with an ounce of weed and you're still in jail and weed is legal. Okay, yeah, let him out. But also that guy that did 20 years for a stabbing who probably should have gotten 5, he should get out too. But
Yeah.
that guy did a lot of damage in the black community, so screw him. Like that dynamic in that conversation, that it's and ultimately that bit was going a different way. And then I kind of got into a back and forth with an audience member because, for your listeners who don't know, I have a friend that was at a robbery that turned into a murder. He was not inside. He got charged with murder. I don't agree with that law. I don't think that law is right. Nah, you're just not going to. Yeah. But what I learned over the course of presenting that material to audiences who some of those people have lost family members to domestic issues, to guns and knife violence, right? I discovered, oh, it's not even my place to have an opinion on this. This is a conversation that should be had strictly with victims and lawmakers. Me, the outsider who's never lost someone, shouldn't even be talking about it. And that discovery through the joke bombing a couple of times, I discovered that was the joke and that was the landing point to end on. And that's what I put on television. So you have to be able to step in it. The issue now is that the internet and camera phones have eliminated the incubation period. Intubation, the tube down your throat. The incubation period needed for a joke to grow from the wrong place to the right place. We're not extended that anymore as performers.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that I appreciated most about Imperfect Messenger is that it had this sense of compassion and discovery and learning, and it ended on kind of on a very emotional note without sounding preachy. It didn't end on a big laugh and a big callback, but I think that story, it's wonderful to hear the progression of how that bit came to be because it was a really emotional moment of that special, and
Yeah, and that was like really where I was trying to get to is that, even myself, I'm not perfect in the things that I'm, crusading for and fighting for and trying to make right.